Welcome, everyone, to the next episode of What's Your Mess? Mental, Emotional, Social Status of Life. I'm your host, Tracey D. Armstrong, and today we have a new guest that's going to share their experiences and how their mess has shaped their life. Just a reminder, this podcast is not just about stories, but it's about the triumphs and the resilience and the strength that our guests have shown. So let's dive into today's episode. Want to welcome to the stage our guest for today, Minister Alma Thomas. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm so excited to be here on today. And I want to start off by saying, just in case people are wondering that I forgot about this interview or, I'm tired. No, I'm doing this interview from my hospital bed in my home. I am an ordained minister, an author, a motivational speaker. I have two children, one in heaven and one here. And I do these podcasts to inspire and motivate people that no matter what you're going through, what obstacle you face, you can soar above your circumstances.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. No matter what your circumstance, no matter what your obstacle, you can soar. Oh, we're starting this off right. Okay, let's get it going. So tell everyone a little bit about your story and your mess that you have triumphed through and you've overcome.
Okay, I've had a lot of messy chapters in my life. Starting with in 2009, my son passed away from heart disease. And he died on February 13th, 2009. And on April 17th, 2009, I wanted to unalive myself because that was his first birthday in heaven. And I was thinking, I wonder, are the angels singing happy birthday to him? I wonder if my grandma baked him one of those cakes that she used to bake. And I said, you know what? I celebrated every birthday with him since he was born, that nobody can celebrate his birthday like his mom. So I was gonna unalive myself. Not that I wanted to be unalive, but I wanted to be with my son. And as you know, in the African American community and church, mental health is taboo. They tell you if you love God, you get in the prayer line every Sunday. And I was getting in the prayer line every Sunday, and I love God. And I was going in a mess and leaving out an oily mess, just full of oil, but my problems was still there. And I remember the Sunday after April 17th, because when I was getting ready to take those pills, I know that God is real, because a voice said to me, if you do it, you'll never see him again. And it was nobody in the house but me and God. And that's when I realized that I needed help, that it was okay not to be okay. I couldn't be strong. And I remember on Sunday running to the altar, they hadn't preached nothing, protocol, everything was out. I needed to get to the altar, and I cried out to God. I said, God, if you don't help me, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. And on Monday morning, I went to EAP, and they talked me through the stages of grief. And I knew the stages of grief because I majored in psychology. But when you're going through your own grief, you forget everything you learned. And she helped me by telling me that it's okay to go from step 1 to step 5 in one day, because you don't go through the stages of grief like, okay, I'm in stage 1, now I'm going to stage 2. No, you fluctuate between anger, bargaining, acceptance until you finally get um to the stage of acceptance. And then I turned my pain into my passion by I started a scholarship in my son's honor that I gave out to date 17 scholarships to African American males of single parents, and that they could use that money for books or whatever they wanted to use it for, as long as they was accepted into some kind of program after high school. And then my apartment complex caught on fire. Not my apartment, but the complex. And they all the apartments were water damaged, and they condemned them. So I found myself homeless and going through the social service system after working all of my life, still working, but found myself needing a place. And it was so humiliating and embarrassing to go and sit down there from morning till night till they finally placed me somewhere. And when they finally placed me somewhere,
And so, wait a minute, you're saying now you're homeless, the fire, the water damage, and you're having to go and stay and ask to stay with your mom? Is that what we're saying here?
yes. And
Okay.
because they condemned the whole the whole row of apartments. And then I got married, made a permanent decision while I was in a temporary space, and I found out he was addicted to crack after we got married, and he wouldn't admit that he had a problem. So I got a divorce, and then life is going on good for a couple of years, and then it's April 2021. I have a massive stroke, and I can't use my right side. And I stayed in a rehab for 2 years. I just been home for a little over a year, and the rehab was terrible. I had a horrendous experiences there, but I came home, and like I said, I've been home for a little over a year, and I go on these podcasts and on my authentic self, and doing them in the bed because I want to inspire and encourage someone else that no matter what you're going through, you can't put your purpose on pause, and you're gonna have some bad chapters in your life, and you can either be better or bitter. And I chose to be better. I couldn't stay at the pity party. I had to excuse myself and say, okay, they said that I had a 99% chance of dying, that they called my family to my bedside and told them if they ever wanted to see me alive again, they had to come. So, in order, and I didn't, they said I was only breathing at 10%, but I didn't even feel like I was struggling to breathe because I believe God had me on his ventilator and he was breathing the breath of life into me. And so I said, how can many people who had a stroke as bad as I did, their cognitive skills and their language skills are affected? My language skills was only affected for about a month. My cognitive skills were never affected. So how can I lay in this bed and say my life is over when I still have my voice and I can still talk and I can still encourage people? I can still talk to people who have lost children, who have lost relationships, who have lost jobs, who have lost limbs, and tell them that it might look dim sometime. It might look like it's over, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel if you just stay positive and focus on the things that you can do. Embrace those things. Don't embrace the things and spend your life thinking, "Oh, I can't walk anymore. I can't write anymore. I'm still chasing my dreams." Like, I wrote 2 books before I had the stroke, and after I had the stroke. Is it a little hard? Yes, it's a little harder because one of my challenges is that my right hand doesn't work, and that's the hand that I write with. So you know what I do? I get my phone and I peck until my book is written, and I send it to the editor, and the editor edits it. So I haven't given up on my dream. I just find ways around my challenges.
Yes, find ways around your challenges. Now, you just unpacked a lot right there. Like, I'm listening and I'm like, "Ooh, okay, where do I even want to dive in here?" But I do want to go back and I do want to ask you about like the loss of your son. How I wanted to ask a few questions. How old was your son again when you lost?
18.
Oh wow. I was like when you were saying, like a mother can't do a birthday, like, I'm feeling you. I'm like, yeah, we feel like we can do birthdays, right? Nobody can do a birthday like us. Now,
Mhm.
my question there is after 18 years, how did it affect you mentally?
Mentally, I was a mess in the beginning. Um, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't even go back to the house. That he didn't die in the house; he died in the hospital. But the last place I saw him there at, I couldn't even go there because it was such a feeling of heaviness in that house. So my mental in the beginning was greatly affected, and I went back to work because I used to work at Head Start with 3 and 4 year old children. So you can't be sad and crawled up in a fetal position when you working with children. So I was able to during the day forget my problems and concentrate on giving my all to the children because you know they didn't know what was going on and didn't understand what was going on, so I couldn't go in there sad every day. So in the beginning, like I said, before I went to EAP, I was suffering in silence because everybody was saying, "Oh, you're so strong. I don't know how you buried your child. I wouldn't have been able to do it." And really inside, I was silently suffering. My mental, my thoughts, it was like when we know that to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord, but you don't want to hear, "Oh, he's in a better place," because you're thinking that you go home every night to your child. So why don't you let your child go to the better place and give me my Tyshawn back? And now I accept the fact that even if he could come back to this mean old world, he would want to. But then I didn't want to hear he's in a better place. Then I didn't want to hear about people's 78-year-old grandfathers that had a heart attack and they lived. And I was feeling that's why I went to God and was like, "I'm dirty, but I want to be clean," because I was having those thoughts. Like while people was talking to me and thinking I was being so strong in my head, I was saying, "I wish they would shut up. I wish they would get out my face. I wish they would leave me alone and let me teach my class. Stop hugging me because every time you hug me, it brings that wave of emotion back. Don't hug me. Don't touch me." And, they're saying, "Oh, we're so proud of you. You're so strong." And I'm thinking, don't they see that I'm suffering? Don't they see that I'm hurting? But people, it's not that they try to be malicious. They try to make you feel better, but sometimes when you're grieving, you just want someone to listen to you. You don't want them to talk, you don't want them to say anything. You just want them to listen to you and take your lead. Ask you questions like, do you want to share memories of your son? Do you want to talk today? Different things, but people try to talk to you because they don't know what to do.
Right. That's what I was just thinking. Like they're trying to say something because they want to help, but then they don't know really what to say. I mean, but that's a good point because I know there's probably people out there listening. They think the same thing. Like, I don't want to hear that. I'm not. I'm grieving right now. I'm not feeling what you're saying. Please shut up for the moment. Now, with that though, because you talked about mental and you talked about the emotional part, how did that affect you socially then? Because if those are the thoughts that are going through your mind and like not wanting to really go home, I can understand it. He's not there. How did your social and your status of life change before you went and received help?
I didn't want to socialize with any of my friends because we all had children around the same age, and whatever we did with our kids. So now here I am. I had my daughter, but their kids were the same age as my son, and we used to do everything before my daughter was born together. I didn't want to go or hear about their kids' graduation. I didn't want to hear they got all A's on their report card. I didn't want to socialize with them because of the fact that how tight our circle was, that we were always together. So me being without my son, I didn't feel like I fitted in anymore, and I didn't want to hear about the good things that their children was doing because mine wasn't here anymore. So, but once I got help, I was able to deal a little more, but still things like graduations, especially when his class of college graduated and they were getting good jobs and all those things, I was thinking about what could have been. I know God doesn't make any mistakes, and he did everything that he was supposed to do at a young age, because even though he was 18 when he died, he had the soul of an old man. This is a funny story about him, that he used to like to go to church. So he was the deacon of his church at that young age. So he would spend all Saturdays at the church cleaning and going to the store and stocking the store up. And on Sundays, he would get up early in the morning and go to church and make sure the heat was on or the air conditioner was on, whatever season. So one day he got in trouble at school. He wasn't a troublemaker, but he got in trouble in school because the kids in the class would ask him how to do the math problem. So he would be talking in class, explaining to them what the teacher explained. So the teacher got mad, and he said to him, "Why are you talking in my class?" And my son said, "I'm explaining to him how to do the math problem." He was like, "I'm the teacher." So my son said, "Well, you're not a very good teacher because nobody understands you when you explain the problem." So he kicked him out of there, and he called me, and he was like, in order for him, he was a senior. So he said, in order for him to graduate, he has to apologize to me. So when I came home, I was like, "Touch, why did you tell the teacher you can't?" So he was a debater, so he would always explain things to me. So I said to him, I said, "Well, just go and apologize, because he already has his papers. You need your papers." Um, and he was like, "Nope. I don't care if I don't walk on my class. I'm not apologizing to him because I didn't say anything wrong. I told the truth. He can't teach." And I was like, "Yeah, but you gotta." So then he was like, "Nope, nope, not apologizing." So I said to him, I said, well, if you don't apologize to your teacher, you can't go to church on Sunday. And then we looked at each other and he said, Mom, what kind of minister tells her son he can't go to church on Sunday? We both just died laughing. And I was like, well, I can't say, I'm going to take your TV because wouldn't care about that. I was like, the only thing you care about is getting to that church Sunday morning and make sure that everything is right. So that was a funny story I remember about him, that the only way you could punish him was by taking away church.
Man, that is most definitely different. He was very unique child, sounds like. Very unique, set apart. And
Yes.
now I just want to ask one of the last questions, because you you mentioned how, the mental, the emotional, the social. I completely understand, like, the social part, how not want to be around friends. Same thing with, like, usually friends all have their kids around the same age and
Yeah.
things like that. That is like so for real. So I'm trying to just make sure I'm understanding the timeline. When he passed away, was this before the fire and then you were living, or was this before?
He passed away before the fire.
So after all of that, then you still went through all of the other, the fire and
Yes.
the marriage and the
Yes.
divorce. Okay. So how did okay. This is I'm putting it all together. That situation happened. Like you said, people have chapters. And I thought that was a great way of putting it. You can be bitter, you can be better. So you got past that situation. And then another situation came up with the fire. And then you were home. So you had to move in with your mama. And then the marriage. How did you mentally still maintain after going through that? You got help, you got better. And then again, another situation.
Well, I guess this might be I don't know if this is bad, but when I lost my son and they put him in the ground, to me that was the worst thing that could happen. And because I got through that, every other obstacle that came my way, it wasn't as bad as losing my son. So I was able to make it through all those other losses without having to go to EAP, because I learned how to use my strategies, how to tell myself that just like we complain when it rains, we complain when it snows, but we can't do anything about it. If it's gonna rain, it's gonna rain. If it's gonna snow, it's gonna snow. So all these bad chapters that happen in my life, whether I complain about them or not, they're part of my plan. They're part of my purpose. God told me that when I was in the nursing home, and I said, God, why am I out this far from my home? Why am I away from my friends? I'm away from my daughter. Like, God, why? What? And he said, I needed to set you apart so you could hear my voice. He said, because I was talking to you and there was all other voices around you, so you couldn't hear my voice and know what I wanted you to do. And it was prophesied to me that I would be an ambassador to nations. So I'm wondering, I don't like flying. So I said, how am I going to get to these nations? Because I foresee myself getting on no plane and riding to Africa for 18 hours. I don't see myself getting on no plane and flying to Japan for 25 hours. I was like, so how am I going to do this? That's what I'm saying. And now God is using me more on my back in my home than he was using me when I was up. So this condition, I know that I'm going to walk again because I've been promised that I'm going to walk again, but he's using me in this condition to inspire and motivate somebody else. Somebody else is saying, wow, she got through losing her son. She went through a fire. She went through a divorce and now a stroke. Like, if that was me, I would be in a mental institution saying I'm a girl, not a boy. And but she made it. I want to know more about this God that is so faithful, that even when you're going through bad chapters, you can still smile and you can still laugh and you can still encourage someone else that they can make it. Don't give up on your dreams. If you have whatever it is that you have purpose in your life to do, whether it's write a book, whether it's go back to school, it's start a business, maybe you tried it once and it didn't work. Try it again. Do it again. And this time it's going to be different. This time you're going to succeed at what you are trying to do as long as you're persistent and determined. I'm determined not to give up. I'm like, have you ever been to the carnival and you see the clown, the one that you throw the ball at real hard, and the clown goes all the way down. And just when you finna claim your giant giraffe, that clown pops back up again. Well, they put something in that clown that makes it bounce back every time you throw a hard ball at it. Every time the enemy throws a hard ball at me, I go all the way down like I'm out and I bounce back again just before the enemy is able to cry victorious. So I don't give up. I don't give up on my dreams. I'm still writing books. I'm still talking on virtual stages. So I want to if I had anything to say to the audience now, I would say, remember when we were kids and we used to play that game, I Dare You? And when you really wanted somebody to do something, you say, I double dog dare you to do it. And then you go do it because they dared you. Well, on today, I am double dog daring people to dream again. Those dreams that they rock to sleep, those dreams you thought you could never have. Dream a little bigger this time.
I double dog dare you to dream a little bigger. Ooh, yeah, I'm over here like, man, this is good. Because for real, like, I didn't even have to ask the question because I normally would ask, what would you tell our audience if that was amazing for real. Like, I double dog dare y'all to go and pick those dreams up that you done laid down. I'm ditto everything she just said. But I do want them to know about your books and stuff because you said you have some books, and I want to make sure that we let them know the titles of the books and where they can get your books from so they can support you.
Okay. I have two books that are out. From the waiting room to the recovery room and Dream Killers. Um my book, Surviving a Stroke, and the healing journal that goes with that book is with the publisher, and I hope to have it out by this summer. You can reach me on Facebook at Alma Thomas because right now I'm revamping my website so that I can sell all my books myself, because I'm using the proceeds from the book sales for the Tyshawn Thomas Scholarship this year that I'm going to give out again, and to help me on my road to recovery.
Oh, wow. Let me make sure. From the waiting room to the recovery room,
Hmm.
one, and then dream killers.
Yes.
Dream killers. I'm intrigued. I am intrigued. And then you also have the Tyshawn Thomas Scholarship that you will, some of the proceeds, a lot of the proceeds will go towards that scholarship. That is
Yes.
awesome. That is amazing. And I'm putting it down so I can make sure. So at the end of the video, everyone, if you're watching, I'll have everything listed where you, all of her contacts and the books, titles, and things like that, where you can go and get it. So make sure you stay tuned to the very end so that you can get all of that information. So as we begin to wrap up, first, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for your story. And I know your last comment was some amazing words, but I'm just going to ask, do you have any last words for the audience?
I would there's a quote that I love that is by Martin Luther King, and it says, if your mind can conceive it and your heart can receive it, then you can achieve it. So remember, anything that you set your mind out to do, you can do it.
And we're going to close with that. As we wrap up another episode of What's Your Mess, I want to leave you with my powerful quote that I like to share, that it's not mine. I got it from someone. If
Uh,
you want to be sad, keep thinking about the past. If you want to be anxious or worried, think about the future. But if you want to be happy, focus on the present day and be grateful for what you have. This is Tracey D. Armstrong with What's Your Mess. Have a good one, y'all.
Bye-bye.